We live in a world full of distractions where it's nearly impossible to stay focused. Procrastination and a poor attention span are becoming the new human default, and there is nothing we can do about it. Or is there? Our world, our environment is constantly pulling us out of focus. We might sit down to do one specific task, but within an hour, you've probably checked your messages 5 times, switched tasks 10 times, and by the end of the hour, you've forgotten what you've even sat down to do in the first place. If we can't focus, we can't go deep on tasks. And if we can't go deep on tasks, we're getting really poor returns on our time. We end up spending all day avoiding the tasks that actually matter. We go off and we do research, we watch videos, we do planning, we respond to messages, we end up scrolling our phone, anything but the things that actually matter. And what happens is that you've sat down at your desk for 8 hours, but you've done absolutely nothing. If you continue with this pattern of behavior, the progress that you make is going to be so slow. You feel like your life is consumed by the work you do, but your work doesn't have any results to show for it because you're sitting down and getting terrible returns on your time. What if there was a way of constructing a distraction-free world where you can produce laser focus on command? Well, there is a way of doing this. I call this world the productivity paradise, and in this video, I'm going to show you exactly how to make it. The productivity paradise is a distraction-free environment that allows you to get in laser focus and just get an insane amount done on autopilot mode. You're not making decisions, you're not thinking, you're just getting things done. This occurs at the start of your day, and by about lunchtime, you're going to have everything you need to get done for the day done, and you can return back to the real world, and you will have achieved more in those first few hours of the day than most people in the real world do in their entire week. The whole point of the productivity paradise is that you wake up and you're not thinking, you're not making decisions, you're just in the flow. You're just moving from one activity to the other, you're checking boxes, making sure you're doing the correct activities. You're not thinking about it at all, you're just getting things done and you're getting the right things done. And after about 3, 4, 5 hours, you've got a crazy amount done and you go, you know what? I'm done for the day. I've got more done today than I probably had the last week. If I string a few of these days together, I'm gonna make some pretty quick progress. So I'm gonna show you exactly how we set up this system so that you can just autopilot, make fantastic decisions and get your day done by about lunchtime. So this is what the system looks like. This is the productivity paradise. There's 3 pillars, 3 specific steps here that we need to take, and you need to follow all 3 of these. Otherwise, this is not going to work properly. First thing we need to do is we need to set the inputs here. We need to know the specific actions that we want to do, that we want to get done, so that when we enter this paradise, we're not thinking, we're not making conscious decisions. It's just there. It's default. You just go. So the very first thing we want to do here is we want to never ever do this on the day. We do not set inputs the day that we do the inputs. This always has to be done either the day before or possibly even the week before. That would be ideal. The reason for that is that if you go into a system, if you go into a routine and you don't know exactly what to do, you have to make a decision. And the more decisions you have to make, the worse you are, because eventually you're going to start to make bad decisions. If you had to wake up every morning and consciously make every single decision of the day, I guarantee you will make worse decisions than the person that had already made those decisions the night before. When we're in the moment, we want to do the easy things. We want to do the easy tasks. We want to have a rest day. We want to do some research. Very rarely do we want to do the hard things. That's why we do not make this decision on the day. This always has to happen the night before. Now, the second really important part of this is making sure that we choose the right inputs. Because if you're not doing the right actions, you're not going to move forward properly. This is generally the reason why we sit down for hours on end and get nothing done. And that's because we're not choosing the right activities. We're not choosing the right inputs that actually move us forward. And this makes sense because usually we're making the decisions in the moment. We're choosing the easy tasks, the things that aren't so difficult, the research, responding to emails, things that aren't difficult. But the problem is, generally the things that aren't difficult also aren't moving you forward. The big needle movers, the things that actually matter, they're generally a little bit harder, so they're a little bit harder to make that decision in the moment. However, we need to make the right decision and choose the high impact activities that move us forward. To understand this, I think a very important principle to understand is the 80-20 principle. And that states that 20% of the work produces 80% of the results, while the other 80% of the work produces 20% of the results. Right now, we're probably doing the 80% of work that produces 20% of results. This is why we sit down for so long but get very little out of it. If instead you just do the big needle movers, you do the 80-20 activities that move you forward, what ends up happening is you get really, really strong returns on your time. And over the course of a week, for the amount of hours that you've put in, you've got so much more out. And this is one of the big reasons why we have accomplished so much by lunchtime. When we come out of the productivity paradise, we will have accomplished so much. And this is a big reason for that, is that you're choosing the needle movers, the things that genuinely move you forward. So when we're selecting our inputs, we have to be very specific that we choose inputs that are gonna really push us forward. Finally, less is more. This isn't about cramming 100 different activities into your productivity paradise. This is about intentionally choosing the activities that genuinely make a difference. The 80-20 activities, the things that actually matter. It's not about filling your calendar. It's not about filling this time with junk activities. It's about choosing the right activities that genuinely make a difference. So that's step one, setting the inputs. But what makes this really valuable is bringing those inputs into an automated system. Second thing we're gonna do is create an automated system. Now, I'm not talking AI here. I'm talking about automating your actions, automating your inputs so that you're not thinking whatsoever. If you thought that step one was about removing the thinking from this whole process, this takes it to another level. This is really about removing any thinking, any decisions, so you're just on autopilot, automated, boom, 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 make the right decisions every time, get yourself to lunchtime and think, oh wow, I've done a crazy amount of work. That's the whole point of creating an automated system. So a very important part of creating an automated system is creating a simple, repeatable system. Consistency is always going to be king. Consistency is what wins in the long term. It's what's going to unlock these compounding effects. So if you cannot repeat this, if it's not simple, if it's really complicated and tough and hard, then you're not going to follow through and be consistent. And if you can't be consistent with it, then it's a garbage system. So we're really trying to create a system that you can follow on a consistent basis. That's a very, very important point. What we're trying to do is we're trying to create a chain reaction. We want one action to move directly into another one. We don't want there to be anything in the middle, any doubt, any uncertainty of what you're doing. A lot of us right now, we wake up and we don't know what to do. We literally wake up and we instantly have no idea what's going on. This is why we generally end up grabbing for our phone and scrolling because we don't know what to do. The whole point of this is making sure that one action leads to another. There is no confusion, no doubt. It's this follows this every single time. So as you can see here, eat, right? And then as soon as you eat, you work. And then as soon as you work out. It's just a chain reaction, a chain of events. There's nothing in the middle. There's no uncertainty. This is what it is. Now, it doesn't have to be eat, work out. It's your version. It's your system. But the point is there should be complete certainty, complete conviction over what you do, what order you do it in, and how it works. Second part of this system is it has to be a time-based system. We don't want a system that is, oh yeah, so I eat at some point and then after I eat, I'm gonna, work for a bit until I get a few tasks done and then after that I'm gonna work out. It's like, no, I eat for 20 minutes and then after I finish my eating period, then I work for a 90-minute block, and as soon as that 90-minute block's done, I work out for 90 minutes. There's no subjectivity. It's this happens here, this happens here, this happens here. Because what happens if we don't know how long each task takes is that we end up having tasks that completely blow the time budget. It might be a small task, but it ends up taking you a crazy amount of time, spilling into the next task, and then you end up not getting certain things done in the day. Because if my work block is subjective, it's like I'm gonna work for a certain period of time, and this work block ends up being 4 hours, then you don't have time to work out. And then you're not doing the inputs, which means there are 80-20 high leverage, big moving activities that you now can't do. That's why it's really important that we have specific time constraints on these activities. And you might think, well, what if I'm halfway through a task and my 90-minute timer goes off and I have to stop? This is actually a good thing, because what happens is you have to stop a task halfway through, which is so much easier for you to pick back up on. There's so much less friction than if you have to start a new task again. You have to face an unknown task and get right into it. It's actually a beneficial thing. So there's really no downside to having these time constrained blocks where as soon as it's done, you move on to the next task. So now you have an automated system. You know, okay, I'm doing this bucket of activities for X period of time, then this bucket of activities for X period of time, and then this one, and it's a chain of events. You know how long it's gonna take. It's a structured system. The next thing to do is bring the inputs into that system. Now the inputs are going to change every day. This is why the system remains the exact same, but we bring the inputs into the system. So currently we have, okay, I'm going to eat for 20 minutes, I'm going to work for 90 minutes, and I'm going to work out for 90 minutes. But now we have our specific inputs. Okay, I'm going to eat oats and yoga for 20 minutes. I'm going to work for 90 minutes on recording YouTube videos. I'm going to work out for 90 minutes doing my upper body workout. Now the specific inputs are within the system, and now you have a very, very good robotic routine. Essentially, you're not making any decisions. You have a clear chain of actions that you're going to do, following a clear system that you use every single day that is incredibly repeatable. Now you have all of your high leverage 80-20 activities into this system. This is how we're getting big returns on our time. But the final step makes this even more powerful. The final step we want to do is we want to create a cocoon. The point of this is that we are shielding ourselves and protecting ourselves from the distracted world. Within the productivity paradise, we've created a cocoon, a bubble, where our attention is really protected. Our attention is only focused on the things that actually matter, on the inputs that are going to move us forward. And this saves us from going down research rabbit holes. This saves us from checking messages or scrolling. This keeps us locked in this very, very productive environment. So the whole point of this cocoon strategy is to close access to the outside world. We want to make sure that when we're in productivity paradise, we're only focusing on the things that matter, so that when we step back out into the real world, we've got our whole day done. It might be lunchtime, they might only be starting their day, they might have got nothing done, but you're done. You're good. You've done everything you need to get done. So this means that communication, right? Things like responding to the group chats, responding to our emails, looking at our messages, none of that gets looked at. Algorithms, we're not looking at social media, we're not looking at YouTube, we're not looking at any research, okay? We're not exposing ourselves to any algorithm, any reactive content. Learning, right? We're not going down research rabbit holes. We're not doing any of that at this point. Planning, we're not doing any of that because we already know exactly what we have to get done during this period that we're in productivity paradise. So all of these things are gone. These are not in our environment. So we're only focusing, we're only allocating our attention to the inputs that we know are going to move us forward and that we have pre-planned and predetermined that we're going to do. Now, the reason this is so important is that most people live in this distracted world all the time. From the time they wake up to the time they go to bed, they live in this world where, okay, I wake up and I'm gonna check all of my messages, right? So maybe I check my group chats and I check my text messages and I check my emails, and then I go on social media and see what's happening with my friends, and then, I don't know, maybe I check the news and okay, sure, fine, I'll do some work, okay? But then I'm back to scrolling, and you're allocating your attention in 50 different ways. This is making you really distracted. This is scattering and diluting your attention, which makes it really hard to focus on one individual task. If you're in productivity paradise, you know you're not making any decisions. You know exactly what to do, and you're not exposing yourself to algorithms or communication or any research or planning. So you're exclusively focusing on the one thing that you have to do that you know to be moving you forward. This means that you're not scattered at all. You're very, very potent on the thing that actually matters. This allows you to go deep, get big returns on your time, and allows you to get probably more done in a day than you would in an entire week. Once we get to here, we're in productivity paradise. We've made an environment, we've created a system so that we're not making any decisions whatsoever. We wake up and on autopilot, we're making the right decisions, we're doing the right inputs that are big needle movers that are gonna push us forwards and move us towards our goals. Our attention is exclusively focused on those things, and this allows us to get huge returns on our time. So this is the place that we want to live in for at least the first few hours of the day. This will get us really fast results and get us fantastic returns on our time. So how am I using this system in my life right now? Well, the week before, I generally know these are the things that I'm gonna have to do throughout the week. These are the big needle movers that are gonna push me forward. Then, the night before, I confirm those inputs. I lock them in and make sure, okay, this is exactly what I'm doing. Then, as soon as I wake up, I have a little morning routine. I get up, I eat some breakfast, I go for a walk, go to the beach, come back, have a cold shower, I do like a 5-minute meditation, and then I'm straight into the work. When I'm at my desk, I start the timer, I have a little circular timer on my desk, and I get to work. For 90 minutes, I only focus on the tasks that I said I was gonna do the night before. As soon as the 90 minutes are up, I'll go out and I'll have a 20-minute coffee break. I'll get some sun in my eyes, have a coffee. I'm not checking my phone. I'm not doing anything like that. I'm not exposing myself to algorithms. I come back inside and I start the deep work block again. I do another 90 minutes. As soon as that 90 minutes are up, I go and I have lunch and then I have a little walk. Then I come back to my desk. I do another 90-minute deep work block. As soon as that's done, I head straight to the gym, hit my workout, and then boom, that's me done for the day. I'll do whatever I want to, but by about 2 p.m., I've done a lot for the day. I've got a lot done, moved a lot forward, and it makes the rest of your day really damn enjoyable. And I try and repeat this as often as possible. I'm very, very consistent with this because I know if I continue doing these inputs, this is gonna move me forward very, very, very quickly. So this is the way I'm currently using this system. Some pretty common mistakes I see people make is not having a time frame on your tasks. What ends up happening is that your projects just blow out the time budget. It takes way too long, and this is how we get back to this pattern of sitting at the desk for hours and not getting anything done. Realistically, you can probably only sustain really high quality, deep focus on one task for about 90 minutes, sustainably anyway. So there's no point in blowing out these big deep work blocks. It's better to keep them short and concise and have specific time frames so that you don't end up making this your entire day. Another big problem I see is exposing yourself to the outside world inside of this productivity paradise. I understand that you think that there's a lot of really important things happening in your life, but generally they aren't that important. Now, one thing I do is I create some sort of communication priority system, and maybe there's one platform that I'll check in the morning, something like my messages. I might check that in the morning and then at a lunch break. But other than that, do not expose yourself to the outside world if you really want this to be super valuable. We're really trying to protect our attention as much as possible. And by exposing yourself to algorithms, by exposing yourself to a bunch of different information, you're overwhelming your brain, and it's a lot harder for you to get in these focused states. It's not going anywhere. I promise you, if you don't check your phone for 4 or 5 hours, the world is not going to end. I think this is a huge problem that people have, and trying to protect your mental space, trying to protect your attention is really, really valuable. The final thing is focusing on weak tasks. Now, the very first step is setting the inputs and choosing the big needle movers, choosing the 80-20 activities. A big problem I see is that people will sit down for a deep work block and they're doing junk activities. And if you do junk activities, you're not going to progress. You're not going to move forward. And if you do, it's going to be really slow. If you want to make sure that these periods of time that you're in productivity paradise, you get a lot done, do the big needle movers. Do the things that actually matter. Don't do random admin tasks. Don't check your emails, things like that. It has to be the big needle movers. That's why one of the first things that I have people do when they join the Modern Monk community is write down your deep work tasks. Write down the high leverage tasks that are actually moving you forward, and then record how much time you actually spend on them. Because right now, we think we're doing a lot of work, but we're not working on the right tasks. If you want to join the community, you can do that for free. I'll leave a link in the description below. I have a challenge for you. The definition of learning is same condition, different behavior. If you've watched this entire video and you haven't changed your behaviors, you haven't learned anything at all. So what I'm gonna say is for the next 7 days, I challenge you to implement this system. You're gonna notice that not only do you get more done, but you have more time to do other stuff, to enjoy your life. It's gonna be a pretty cool realization, and I look forward to seeing what you do with this challenge, with this system. Now, if you found this video valuable and interesting, there's gonna be a video right here that you will also find valuable and interesting, so I will see you there.